Oh my god. We're gay.
Filthy casuals. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 3VO podcast where we are all on the same team. I'm one of your hosts today, Brendan.
And I'm the other one, Jordan.
And if you're new here, we're just two big ol' nerds who absolutely love to share our love of video games with the world. So if you too are a lover of video games, this is the show for you. As always, it's time to check in. Jordan, how are you doing? And also, Happy Pride!
Happy Pride Month! Oh my god. It's one of our favorite times of the year, even though it's kind of a corporate thing. But, you know, whatever. Just,
hi, gay.
Hi. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I felt like I was in a Target promo. Christ. It's. I'm doing good. I'm gonna apologize out the gate here.
What?
I have such a weird fucking energy today. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't feel bad. Like I think just like so. As everyone now knows, we took like about 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I texted Brendan and I was just like, I got a lot of shit coming up. I'm very tired. Can I please sleep? And Brendan was like, yes, me too, please.
Yeah.
So it all worked out pretty well. Yeah. So just like coming back in, I think it just like, my brain sort of like reset in a weird way from just like being
You're just getting back in this way.
Yeah, it's get back into it. Like we started without me recording sound already, so it's just been a little bit slightly
it's all good
off the rails here.
All good.
It's been good. Everybody else I talked to is very, very excited about things like Stranger Things coming out, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out, which I will get to eventually. The only thing that I care about right now is that Critical Role is doing their Cataclysm campaign run, which is a prequel to everything else that has happened, which I am very fascinated by.
That's awesome.
And how you do a prequel in a D&D campaign.
Wow.
Because the whole point is that it's just whatever the fuck happens.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, but also be like, this has already happened, technically?
Step one, be Matt Mercer.
It's like the campaign's being run by Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Sorry. Pause, scratch, go back. Step one, be Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Yeah. I mean, from
equally as impressive.
Absolutely. And from what I understand, it's like it's a collaboration between those two and a bunch of other people like who have been working on campaigns and shit with Critical Role for a long time and whatnot. But I've only seen the first episode because I don't have time to catch the live streams for that shit. So I've only seen the first one, but it's incredible. Again, always blown away by Brendan Lee Mulligan as a DM. He's so fucking good. You want to hear like the thing that would tense my butthole the most as a player in a D&D campaign at this point?
It's the only thing I wanted to know for Pride.
You know, so as you know, a campaign normally starts with like introduction of characters. Like the DM will kind of be like, tell us about your character, what they look like.
It's like the hardest hurdle of the whole campaign, I think, is that moment.
Is that moment of
getting your characters together and be like, okay, be a party now. Like,
be a party now.
Yeah.
But they were doing that part, and it was just the beginning. They started with one of the guys, and Brendan Mulligan was just like, so I want you to tell me about your character, but do it while keeping in mind that their mouth is full of blood. And everyone at the table is just like, what?
What?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's not like a happy, fun, like, camp. It's the Cataclysm. Like, it's where everything went wrong in Exandria. Like,
gosh. That's crazy.
It's been so cool.
That's really neat.
Other than that, fucking around in Hades still a little bit, gaming-wise. Now shifting over to what I've been doing gaming.
Right, yeah.
Messing around with that a little bit. And then finally really getting back into playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland again.
Nice.
It's just been cool. I pop in, I do a couple missions, and then I pop out. I just got done. I was fucking running around a giant beanstalk.
Nice.
It was so good. There was a whole mission where I got made very, very tiny and had to run through a house. It was super fun.
Nice.
Just still a delightful, wonderful fucking game.
Love it. I need to pick it up. I haven't.
It's a good time, but I think you'd appreciate the story and the humor. I don't know as much as the gameplay that you would like, because it is still the first person like RPG style game.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That one,
because I saw a little tiny bit of it
when you came over yesterday. Yeah, and that's like there's that part, which is just sort of like how you run around what's called the outer world, which is like the space between little spaces. Kind of works like a game board in a sense.
I get it. Yeah.
And then like you'll go into sections. And
very JRPG.
Yes, but then that'll put you into like a segment where it's totally first person and you're around like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I played the little the whatever came out that wasn't Tiny Tina's Wonderland, but was Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
Which was the DLC for Borderlands 2.
Right. Whatever.
They released as like its own little...
Right. I played that a little bit.
Yeah.
And was enjoying that. And I do play first-person shooters, so like...
Right. I just know that's not typically like your...
Not like always my judge, but like for Borderlands, for the story and for the humor, absolutely.
And
like,
especially with the Tiny Tina, like humor. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you'd probably like it then.
Yeah, I'd
have a good time with it.
Yeah. Right? Who's got the time?
The other thing too is just finding fucking time. Because now, like a little peek behind the curtains for everybody too, now I'm editing the gameplay that we've been doing for streams and whatnot. So more content coming to the channel, guys. It's happening. We're doing more. We're doing everything we can.
Patreon eventually.
And our Patreon eventually. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
But, well, real quick, sorry, not to bang in the beginning too long here. When does this episode... Like, this will be in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. So we're always, like, recording 2 weeks behind.
Yeah.
So this will go up on 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
So it'll be 2 weeks from yesterday, which was the 5th. So it'll be up on the 19th.
Oh, okay. Well, then if we could talk about that because it will already have happened.
Happy Juneteenth!
Happy Juneteenth! Oh my God, yeah.
To everyone who's, I just realized.
Hey, there we go. Well, it will already have happened then, but just to say, the reason why Brennan was at my place yesterday was because he was helping me get set up for my own streaming equipment and whatnot, so I can start streaming.
And I can sleep.
And Brennan can actually get some time off from doing everything for the channel.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, starting next week, so a week prior to when this comes out, right? Mm-hmm. It'll be I'll run my first solo stream on Monday. So
I can't wait to see, Jordan. You're gonna have so much fun.
I'm so excited.
You're gonna have so much fun.
I'm so excited.
I mean, not that you're not having fun, with everything else.
Absolutely, but
and like we've been doing it together, but like I think you're gonna be so great.
The co-op streams have been an absolute blast. I mean, but just like every time I sit and I watch you stream, and you've been doing great with it too. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
But every time I sit and watch you stream, I'm just kind of like, I want to do this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna be doing that. I already know what I'm gonna start playing. It's gonna be
a week ago from when this episode
I know,
comes out.
not the greatest promo.
Whatever. When has our promo ever been that great? So starting on every other Monday, so the Mondays where we're not recording and streaming together, will be Jordan's Mondays to stream. Yeah. So catch him live from his closet.
It's literally, if anybody remembers us from the Zoom days, it's pretty much the same setup in my tiny little box of a closet.
Just in time for Pride.
Shove me back in the closet.
Get back in there.
Which is here's the thing too. It's not even that tiny of a for a closet.
No,
it's a huge closet.
Massive.
It's a great closet.
It's huge.
But for like a streaming studio, it's tiny.
Absolutely,
it's essentially like for the function it's not meant to be doing.
Absolutely not.
It's okay. Well, whenever we get our own, whenever we get our own studio, it won't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Right? So I've taken up like 10 minutes. So what have you been up to?
No worries.
I told you the energy's weird today, man.
It's all good. It's all good. We had some catching up that we needed to do, so it's fine. I have been doing what I have been doing for the past month or so, which is streaming on Mondays and Fridays. I've been hosting trivia on Thursdays. I've been going to rehearsals on Wednesdays and Saturdays for Beauty and the Beast. And on Tuesday nights, I started a D&D campaign that I am DMing.
So you thought, I'm not quite busy enough.
Yeah.
With, a job, 2 jobs, a show, a podcast, a stream. Let's add running a campaign into the mix.
I never said I was smart. Yeah, so I'm very busy, and I get Saturday nights and Sunday mornings off.
There you go.
Always. So I have together amalgamated one whole day off a week.
That's pretty much how my actual day off works for when I
right, because you work nights. Yeah,
just Monday is like a full day off for me, and then technically I have Tuesday, but I go in Tuesday night, so it's I've got the day for Tuesday, but I'm sleeping, so it's not really a full day off there. Sorry,
exactly. And I get every other Sunday night off because that's when we're off from our D&D campaign.
Yes.
And now you're going to be taking Monday nights away from me every other Monday. So I'll have a little bit more time.
And I'll have something for me to do for Mondays too. So
yeah. There we go.
It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Other than that, I've been playing some more Hades. I've been streaming Pokemon Unite on the channel, which has been really fun to pick back up. It's changed loads since I last picked it up. Oh, yeah. Well, it's one of those games where they go in every so often and they like tweak little things, you know? They're like, oh, this guy's really overpowered, so let's make this move less strong. Yeah. And oh, this character's kind of slow, let's up their movement speed, you know?
Yeah,
so like,
well, it's basically like, it's like an online arena combat.
Yeah, it's a MOBA. Yeah,
it's a MOBA. Yeah, that'll always happen with a MOBA.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And they've like added more characters that do different things since I picked it up. I mean, it's been months since I played, really. So yeah, it's been fun to pick that back up and to be getting back into the swing of that. And like I said, I've been playing Hades, of course, which we're gonna cover in the future.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing it. We're gonna be talking about Hades.
I streamed that a couple of times too.
You did, yeah.
Doing runs on that. So yeah, you know, just doing my thing, rehearsing and practicing for the show when I'm not rehearsing. And
do you find, again, just a little bit more for the beginning here, do you find that when it's like, if I was, like, when I'm busy and it's all shit that's just like a slog, like it's just my like day-to-day job, which is, I do like my job, but it's like when it's just that and just like, I don't know, just like doing a bunch of other, just like if I'm like working on moving or helping somebody else move or like house maintenance or stuff like that. It just drags me down. Oh my God. But when it's stuff like this and working on a show and doing other like projects that I like and doing D&D, it's like it's still exhausting, but I'm not like it takes more time for me to get burnt out. Yes, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. It takes a lot more. Like, that last break we had, it had been a while since we were like, I need to stop for a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? It had been a while since we had done that. So it's just like, do you feel that too? That it's like, when it's shit that you really enjoy, it's not as exhausting for you.
Absolutely. It's exhausting, but in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm physically tired because I'm putting a lot of time and energy into these different things, you know? And like, my body is tired when I come back from rehearsal, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, creatively, I'm feeling like fulfilled.
Exactly. So. And that like gives a weird boost in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's really tiring is the new friends that I've made that I'm doing the campaign for. Yes. Well, they like to go out drinking and they like to drag me along and they like to buy me drinks and throw shots in my face and stuff. Yeah. So that's what's tiring.
Oh, you say that now that you're older, when your younger friends are taking you out now and trying to make you drink with them like you're still young, it's a little exhausting for you?
They're older. They're older than me.
They're older? Oh my God.
They are older than me.
Well, never mind. There goes my argument entirely.
5 and 8 years older than me. The two that I'm thinking of in particular.
Never mind then.
No, they're great guys. Never mind. But I'm like, how? And, you know, I'm like, I'm decrepit next to them, I feel.
I was wondering because, like, I had it at my dad's wedding. So the wonderful woman he married has a daughter, this very, very sweet young woman. Who just like all of her little friends, like they're new in college. They're all like barely fucking 22 years old. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm doing like gin and tonics from the bar. And that's like what I'm maintaining for the whole night. And I one time I walked over there and they were all gathered there. And I was just like, what's going on? They were like, we're doing shots. And I was just like, good for you. And they were like, you're going to do a shot too. And I was like, but am I? Cause
yeah.
Because it's not just the hangover. It's like my whole next day is just like done if I drink.
Yes. What is that?
It's like before 22 years old. I could down a bottle of something, get up the next day and like go do a mile run and be fine.
Absolutely.
Like now I had a couple drinks the other day by myself, and the next day at work I was just like, I need to lie down. I can't.
What is that, right? I'm not even 30 yet. Like,
probably just
unfair.
I would imagine for us at least.
We just went too hard.
Way too. Oh my God. I think of the way we used to drink sometimes, and I'm just kind of like, how did we not end up in the hospital? Cause. Yeah. I've had parties where it was just a dude walking around with a huge thing that he would just walk over and just pour into your mouth. Oh, no questions.
Never.
You just.
That I never did.
Oh, never did that. Never did the jungle juice. Never did anything.
Oh.
Okay.
Let me tell you, got down on some jungle juice. Let me tell you.
Okay, I feel like you can't get through college at some level without having a night with jungle juice at some point.
I think a couple nights, to be honest.
Oh, I've had more than a few. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I'm saying at least one.
Yes.
At least.
I also remember some absinthe-fueled nights.
Why did we get there was a weird point where we just got obsessed with absinthe, and I don't know why.
This is a PSA for your pride. Be safe out there, and don't drink to excess.
Absolutely.
Like us.
Absolutely. Have fun, but be responsible, and make sure you have a DD that is actually going to be a fucking DD.
Absolutely. I always had a DD.
Always made sure I had a DD.
Always had a DD.
No matter what.
I was never not in a safe situation.
No matter what. Mm-hmm. I was hardly ever the DD, but...
I've warbled between both, I think.
I've done it more recently. I've definitely driven people out more, been like, I'll not drink tonight, it's cool.
Well, for the longest, I couldn't drive. Until I was 22, I couldn't drive.
Right.
So, now I'm getting everybody back for life. Because I got driven everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah. And I was always able to drink because I never drove.
Right.
So now I've got everybody back for life.
Got you. That's fair. That's fair.
So, now that we've got all of that out of the way, we are going to talk about what we're here to really talk about today, and that is LGBTQIA2+ representation in video games. Going forward, we'll be referring to that as the Alphabet Mafia. Or what was the other thing you said? The Rainbow...
Oh, I said Rainbow Family.
The Rainbow Family. I almost said Rainbow Brigade.
Rainbow Brigade isn't bad either,
also
though.
Good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Alphabet Mafia and representation therein in video games for our Pride Month. And not only when games, allow you to romance them. Because I feel personally, and I'll just get up on my soapbox for a second.
Let's just do. Oh, you do. Let me.
Oh yes, please. Could I borrow your soapbox?
Oh,
thank you. Wow. All right.
Have that. This never happened. I'm excited.
I just think that we're a little bit past the only representation in a video game that when it comes to the Alphabet Mafia. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're a little bit past the only representation being when you can romance. When the game is okay, you can be a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And then you can romance any of these options. And it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. I feel like that's a little lazy.
I feel like it is a little lazy where it's it's one side of it where I get that it's it's a very simple solution to be could the options just open to whatever.
Right. And while I'm up on my soapbox, let me just clarify.
Please.
That is a sort of a privileged way of viewing it, because for the longest there was nothing, and we understand that. But now maybe
no, for sure.
You know what I mean?
That's always the thing with with progress though in general, is that it's there is a level where it's okay, we get that we have progressed, but we're not done. There's still much it's whenever to use a broad example, whenever people do talk about things like racism and stuff like that, and they go, well, think about how it was 100 years ago. You could just go, okay, but how bad was it 100 years before that? And then before that. So it's it's gotten better.
Right.
That's how it should happen, though. That doesn't mean we're done and things are good. You need to keep moving. So, representation is much better than it used to be in video games. Mm-hmm. However, that doesn't mean that it's that it's as good as it could be. There's still a lot more steps that we could take. And I think that's definitely one of them, is having representation in a way that isn't just it's about who you're going to try to romance in the game. Right,
exactly. Where are just the characters that exist in the Alphabet Mafia in the world?
Right. Yeah. Or just, I don't know. I also wonder if there's a level of just, an assumption that is always made, even if it's not declared outright. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, there's little to no conversation about the Master Chief in Halo of what his sexual orientation is. Mm-hmm. But I feel if you ask somebody, they would just assume straight. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So it's just I'm not saying either way if that's good or bad, but it's to always assume straight is bad. But it's just when it's not, I feel it's tough for developers too, because it's when you don't have something that's a clear, obvious thing of oh, this person prefers people who are same sex or something like that. Then it's when you don't have that in your game, then it's well, how do you represent that without just having somebody in the background go by the way, they're gay, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I agree with you, but just what does that representation look like to you without having the obvious sort of niche of being here's
yeah, and I don't know. I don't know that I need, for a main character, I don't know that I need it declared necessarily.
Fair
if
enough.
It's not gonna be important to the story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get you.
I'm because that's not what Master Chief is about. Right? Mm-hmm. It's he's he's a war hero.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna do war stuff.
Yeah.
War
you know,
stuff.
all that war stuff.
Yeah. Can you tell I've never played Halo?
He's gonna go do war stuff.
Yeah.
He gets up in the morning, rolls out of bed, puts on his hat, and says, well, off to go do war stuff. And he just jaunts out.
Yep. Confirmed. So what I'm getting at is I don't know that I need that for that story. Like, that's, I think, like, not an exception. What am I trying to say? It's unnecessary?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was using it as, like, a broad sort of example.
Yeah,
of,
of course, I understand.
I'm just being like, if it's not plainly spelled out, it's like the assumption is that the character is straight.
Right. Well, that's more indicative of our world at large.
Well, for sure.
I think. Than anything.
For sure. Well, yeah, because I mean, like, it's deep in, like, it's like, I'm bisexual, but whenever I play something, unless they show me evidence otherwise, my first assumption typically is that a character is straight.
Right.
Yeah. But I'll even take, like, weird random signs that I'm just kind of like, something gay about this. You know what I mean? Just like, there's little things I always pick up and I'll just go like, nah, okay.
Oh, they did the finger guns.
They did the finger guns. That's a pansexual right there, my friend. I'm totally kidding. But
yeah, I don't know. I think that is symptomatic of our culture and our world more than anything, though.
For sure.
You know. So let's talk about games that do have representation.
Sure,
let's start with that. First one, of course, that comes to mind is Mass Effect.
Yes,
because obviously, they do have romance options for the main character that are homosexual in nature, and also have representation outside of the romance options. So, like, green checkmark for Mass Effect for me, at least.
How do you mean? Like, where are the examples outside of the romance options?
Okay, so just like the Asari in general.
Oh, good point. That's a very good point.
The Asari as a whole.
You're right. Okay, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And also, I know that there are some NPCs that are representative of the Alphabet Mafia.
Yes.
Cortez from Mass Effect 3.
I love Cortez. I love Cortez so much. He's delightful. Fucking badass little fight. I love it when they do it that way too, where it's just like, because I feel like it feels like an obvious move, but it's also a move that I really love, where it's just kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, this character is gay. Also, they're a fucking badass too. Like, I'm not saying that like that's a weird thing necessarily, but to put that in a game like that to me is also very important. Because it's like, if you put a character like Cortez, and he's also like not, and just as, listen, every type of personality is valid, every type of representation is valid, but the very sort of birdcage Nathan Lane-esque over the top kind of drag queen has been represented and done. So for me, especially with someone like Cortez, it is nice to see somebody who doesn't have the stereotypical signs of somebody being gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, he's just a dude who exists and he's gay. Like, he's not, there's no lisp, or there's no, he never does one of these. It's just
one of these.
One of those. For audio listeners, I did the wrist. Just in case you didn't know what the hell I was talking about. Just realized listening that you're just like, what of what? What just happened?
We'll put the little ding on it.
Garrett, oh God, please do it. Please do it for me. Oh my God.
They'll know exactly what it is if they hear the ding.
I got you. But like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I understand. I've known people like that who are generally, they are just kind of like big like that in terms of just kind of like, you know, just, I'm trying not to be offensive here. But
no, just say it.
No, I'm not going to say it, but just like, in sort of like
just come from my brand. It's fine.
What are you talking about? In sort of that way of just kind of like, it's a certain stereotype of a person who was gay that we have seen over and over and over again.
Right. What you're getting at is it would be all too easy for a game developer to like do that.
Yes.
Just to be like, here's a gay person. And it's nice that they didn't do that. They just made a person and
they're gay. Because to me, that's the best kind of representation. It's just kind of like, here's this character and you kind of go like, also, they're gay. Like, that's it.
Exactly.
And, like, you know, it's not distracting. It doesn't make a bit, not distracting. Sorry, I'm fucking awful. Just, like, it's not, it's just, it's a fact about them and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all it is.
It's like one of the most boring things about them.
Yes!
It's like boring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, by the way, they're gay. Okay, cool. And, like, we're moving on.
Yeah.
We're moving on. Because it's just, like, I think the first time it gets brought up is, like, he mentions losing his husband.
Right.
In the Skillian Blitz or something. He loses him in something like that. And then as Shepard, you're just like, oh, okay.
Right.
And I love that they force that, whether you're a paragon or renegade. There's no option to be husband. You're just...
Could you imagine?
I'm just I love the fact that you could be as horrible of a renegade as possible.
But you still don't get to be homophobic.
You still don't get to be homophobic in that game. Fuck you. You don't get to do that. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. He is. I never really thought about how much of a really good example of that Cortez in particular is. And other examples in Mass Effect 2 of just yeah.
Yeah.
It's still just, it's such a good game. Not without its flaws and issues and whatnot, because there wasn't... If I remember right, there wasn't a... And again, I understand this goes back to the issue of it only being romance options, but I know that there wasn't a male-to-male romance option until you got to 3.
Yeah.
Because that's when they introduced that you could romance Caden as male Shepard.
Right.
But that wasn't prevalent in the first one or the second one at all.
No.
And there
but you could romance Liara as FemShep.
True, but that also leads me to something else that I've noticed is that, and again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying that I'm not saying you have to remove one to get others. I'm saying that, and this is kind of across media in general too, is that representation for gay women seems to be a bit more than it is for a lot of the other groups of representation.
You think so?
I think most of the stuff that I've seen where it is gay related. I don't know if you ever played it, but think about something like Life is Strange. That is about a young woman discovering, but that's about a young woman who, as far as I know anyway, is gay.
Okay.
Same thing with stuff like The Last of Us. Ellie is a gay young woman. There's another funky little indie, I think it's called Homestuck or something like that, where you're tracking through the life of this young woman and you discover that her and her best friend realize that they're gay and they are in love with each other and stuff like that. And it's just I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of TV shows and stuff too, where it's there's been a little bit. It seems like there's a little bit more, and I wonder if it's because. And this is where
I was gonna say, is it because of the male gaze?
Well,
yeah,
it's
the male gaze, the male gaze,
the physical
with a Z.
yeah. Can you tell? Well, for anyone who doesn't know, do you know? Can you maybe kind of give some? A little bit of a definition to what the male gaze would be.
Sure. It's one of those things that's a little hard to describe, but it's when you see it, it's oh, there it is.
I can actually do an example. I can actually do a very good example.
Please do.
The first Suicide Squad movie versus Birds of Prey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is you've got the random booty shots of Harley Quinn throughout the entire fucking movie for no goddamn reason. Mm-hmm. But then you go to Birds of Prey and you've got almost none of that, basically, is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
And it's it's something that directors and creators don't even realize they're doing sometimes. It's just it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Which is what typically the male gaze is sort of referring to there.
Right. It's that, subconscious, but you should be conscious of it.
You should be conscious of it. The moment it gets pointed out to you, you should be okay, actively trying not to do that. Because ever since I first learned about it, just in the stuff that I try to write, I try to avoid that as much as I can now. We're just okay, I don't want to do something in here that is just because I'm a pervert.
We don't want to let the world know.
We don't want to, let's keep that shit as quiet as we can. There's that, but there's also, and this is something I learned about too. I don't know how much this translates over to video games, but there's actually a rule in film and television that there's less restrictions on what you can show for 2 women on screen than there is for 2 men on screen. Yeah. And I'm not even, I don't know what it is exactly, but there is it's you get less screen time for showing 2 men doing anything romantically or sexually versus 2 women. Yeah, and that's entirely that is the most...
That is fucked up.
Male-dominant patriarchy bullshit I think I've ever fucking heard in my life. It's the grossest shit. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's part of it.
I think...
And again, I'm not saying it's bad that representation is there. It's incredibly important that representation is there. I'm just especially for me, I'm just kind of there's a little bit of the bi representation, and it's happening. It does happen.
No,
I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially just like once you move outside the world of just like the AAA titles and the bigger names and whatnot, that's where you can really find
absolutely.
Hades is a prime example too of just like, oh, okay, there is some open sexuality representation here. Thank you. Okay, I do appreciate this, and I like this.
And it's treated as totally humdrum and just like whatever. It's not a thing. It's not like, oh my gosh.
And I think Hades is a little bit better than what we were talking about before when we were just kind of like, oh, well, you just like the lazy, just kind of like. You just have, like, free will open options so that way everyone's represented and whatnot.
Right.
That kind of, like, easy track there. Whereas, like, I feel like, and this is, again, if somebody wants to get a hold of the writers and let us talk to them, I would fucking love that. But I feel like in the making of this game, I feel like there was a step where they looked at the way that they were doing the character of what is the main character's name in the fucking... Zagreus. When they were making Zagreus, I feel like this is one where they kind of looked back and went... Okay, he's not straight, right? Like, we...
They had to take a step back and be like, well, there's something there.
He's not, like, just like, don't get me wrong, the man gets pussy, but, like, he's also, like, he's not exclusively on that track, you know what I mean? Like, there's not...
I mean, when you're immortal and you live for a really long time...
What would be the point? What would be the points?
And you don't have to, like, answer to anybody, and you don't care what other people think of you.
It's true.
Because you live forever.
You live forever, and, like, you know, you're kind of Hades' kid, so, like, who's going to tell you what to do as well? Like,
and you're hot, like...
And you're crazy hot. I think that also just, like, crazy hot is part of it, too.
Yeah. Like, why would you care?
Yeah, why would you give a fuck? Just do, get everybody at that point.
Which is funny, because Zagreus can only get 3 people, and one of them doesn't even turn into like a real relationship because she gets spooked or something
and runs off.
I haven't pursued it or seen it myself, but
are the other two? What are the other 2 relationships? You can
do?
So
you can pursue Thanatos.
Yes.
Meg.
Yes.
And Dusa.
Okay, so there's. Well, and Deuce is not like... It's not... This is going to sound... I don't know how else to say it. It sounds terrible. Deuce is not like a whole person. Like...
Okay.
She's a huge person. Excuse me. They're a huge personality. And I love them.
Oh,
they're one of my favorite characters in the whole game.
I love Dusa so much.
But they are a floating head. Is what I'm trying to say.
How can you have a... I mean, well, maybe they identify as a certain gender.
That's true. That's
not like
that's
laid
why
out.
That's why I went for they. That's why I switched to they.
Absolutely. And Dusa is definitely like female coded.
For sure. Absolutely.
And I mean, she's based on Medusa. Like, that's, you know, she is a floating Gorgon head. Yes. So, like, in a lot of aspects, she is female coded, but no body. Yeah,
for sure. Which I'm not saying makes her less important. I was just saying,
no, right. But it's not like outlined, I would say.
Right, I got you.
Zagreus is never like, hey, Dusa, are you a lady? Like, that would be really inappropriate.
It would be. That one would feel weird in the middle of that game. Is in the middle of a conversation, he was just like, by the way, pronouns?
That would kind of throw off the rhythm.
And you're like, thank you, but this feels weird. This feels off.
It would feel a little shoehorned in. You know what is not shoehorned in when it comes to pronouns is the god Chaos in Hades.
Yes.
Some non-binary representation.
That's true.
Because
that is true.
Hades is always referred to as they, them in Hades.
That's right. Right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Man, those are the moments where it does make me happy to see just like that there's different groups of people working on stuff like that. Absolutely. You're just kind of like, okay, thank you. And it's also like, especially with something like that, it's like, okay, you get it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you really, really get it. Like, in that one, like, the romance options are there. But I think that's like, I think for Hades, to me at least, is like, that to me is part of like the creative process of being like, once you kind of get that established of just like how much you could do with that story and stuff like that, it's like, add layers to it. You know what I mean? Like, why not have that there if you can? Yeah. And it's done fairly well. I haven't gotten to any like the romance moments with any of the characters, but
me either.
The lead in and like the conversations and stuff are just like they're super cool to where you're just kind of like, okay, I kind of want to see where this goes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, and there's Achilles and Patroclus as well.
I don't think I've met Patroclus.
Oh, he's in Elysium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like famously, Achilles.
No, I know Achilles. I know Achilles. Yes.
Greek hero and his boyfriend Patroclus.
Oh, okay. I like that. Cool. Nice. All right.
I mean, historians will say otherwise, but like...
Fuck the historians. What do you know? You weren't there. You don't actually know. You have no idea.
There's actually a lot of evidence that they were lovers. A lot. But,
So, shut the fuck up, historians.
But anyway, so Achilles and Patroclus are in the game, and you can reunite them.
Oh, that's okay. That's my only goal now. That's my only goal now for the game. I'm gonna fuck if I make it out alive of Hades. It's all I'm working towards now. I want that to happen. Because I love the way they have Achilles in the game too. Mm-hmm. I love the way they have him set up. He's just like this, like kind of tired, like mentor. Not tired of you, but just
just kind of exhausted.
Just exhausted because like he's Achilles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it though. What's some other stuff out there of like good representation?
Well,
or at the very least, just like representation in general. Because while it's getting better, just like seeing it is still exciting to me. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely, you love to see it. Yeah. Absolutely, you love to see it. I would like personally for it to get to the point where it's just like kind of. Like we said, boring.
Yeah, it's just
not boring. Like, not boring. Like another fucking queer. No, not like that. But like it's just like you forget to clock it. You don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. You just kind of go. It's just kind of like fact about that person. Moving on. Exactly. That's like their favorite color is green. Great. You move on.
Yeah. Okay, they're gay. All right. Anyway,
exactly.
You want to go save the galaxy with me? Let's go.
Right.
Shit like that.
Absolutely. As far as other games that have representation, I had to think about it a lot, and maybe this is because I'm not playing as many like indie titles where the representation would be like more abundant.
Sure.
But it was kind of hard to think of some. I know they're out there. Like we said, Life is Strange. I've never played Life is Strange, but I know that has representation. I
can't get into it. I can't get into it. Which is sad because it should be my background. For some reason, I can't get into the playstyle for the game. But it works sort of like a Telltale game, so it's like that should be something I'd be into. But for some reason, it's just different. So I'm just kind of like it's fine. Like it's cool. The writing is wonderful. It's just it's something I can't like.
I've never given it a shot. I'm sure I would probably like it if I picked it up.
I feel like you'd actually really enjoy it if you gave it a shot. I think the originals are still free on Game Pass.
Ooh.
So maybe give it a shot one of these days and just see what happens.
Less. As far as other games, I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition in particular comes to mind. I know there's a lot of representation in that.
Yeah. Well, from what I know, Dragon Age and Inquisition was the one where they were like, the floodgates got open as far as like, okay, we're going to try to get as much like full-blown spectrum coverage of the whole community as we can.
Absolutely.
And see what we can do. Whereas like before, it was pretty much still worked it was there. It's there in the previous Dragon Age games, but it still kind of worked in those binaries of like, you can be straight or you could be gay. And like that was kind of like the only like visible representation there. From what I know, I haven't played it. But from what I know in Inquisition, it is a lot more representative and gives you a lot more options.
There's just casually like gay and bisexual and pansexual characters in the game
that are just there.
That are just there.
Exist,
yeah. And then many of those are romance options as well.
Right. So. But again, to me, like, that's the best way to do it, because I feel like that also, weirdly enough, like, it also really pisses people off sometimes, too. And that's the one that gets them really, really mad, is when you just kind of, like, go, like, and that's a bisexual, and that's a pansexual. They're like, no, but what are they doing there? And it's like, they just exist.
They're just there.
Like, these people just exist. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing or a justification for their existence. Right. They just exist, and that's it.
Yeah.
And when you point that out to people, that's when they get very, very upset. And just kind of, and it's like, one, shut up, but also two, it's kind of like, yes, die mad.
Die mad.
Pretty much.
Love it.
Oh, I've been living on the existence of die mad for a while now.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Can you think of any others that like come to mind as far as like representation?
There's one that's really kind of special to me, honestly, and it is the Last of Us series.
Oh yeah.
Because the way they did it was really, I find it really nice, especially through the lens of just like, I know what I said earlier about like not over representation, but I feel like it's skewed a little bit more because of stuff like the male gaze towards letting women be gay in certain aspects of media and whatnot. But they did in The Last of Us, there was a DLC for the first game where you go through an early state. So it's a prequel DLC to what happens in the actual main game of Last of Us. And you go through a section where the one of the main characters, Ellie in the Last of Us series, you and one of her friends, this other girl, go running off before she's supposed to go off to like join some other like recruitment thing or some other like group or whatnot. And you kind of spend the day together before she leaves, and you're running around this abandoned mall trying to... It's very cute because they're also putting together because they've grown up in essentially the zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. So they have no memories of what the world was like before shit went down. So they're going through the mall and they're going into like photo booths and being like, what the hell is this? And like figuring out what it is and finding like old CDs and going like, oh my God, people listen to this and stuff like that. And it's like you're going through a really cute date. Aww. Basically. And it's really cute. And so especially when it is stuff like that normally does get very, very male gazing and very hypersexualized. To just see it get like, it's still a romance, but to see it get like a very
like wholesome,
cute treatment that generally like it makes it like playing it makes you like tear up a little bit. You're like, this is just so adorable. And there's breaks for action and stuff like that, but the way it's done is very, very well done. And it doesn't detract from that. But it's just like, you spend like a while in that game, you're just walking around, hanging out with, and just like building up the courage basically to tell this girl that you really, really like them. Aww. Which I'm just kind of like, one, what person in general can't understand that feeling?
Yeah.
And number two, especially somebody who is part of the Alphabet Mafia, of just like that extra stress and anxiety of like, okay, like how do I tell this person that I like them, but they're like the same like sex or gender as me, mm-hmm. and like I don't know if that's if they're on the same page as me. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That added layer of like,
just like, okay, how do we? And just when I found out about it, like my buddy David, who got me into playing the Last of Us series, just like I texted him and I was just like, Ellie's gay, and he was just like, yeah, man. I was like, why is this like really important to me?
I love it.
It was really cool. So yeah, there's that one. And oddly enough, another one that kind of, I mean, it kind of does it, and I feel like it kind of falls into that, like, lazy, not lazy, but just kind of like, more of like a, we don't really give a fuck kind of phase to it, is the Saints Row series actually has fairly good representation.
Really?
Crazily fucking...
Tell me more.
I know, it sounds stupid and bonkers to say that, but like, it really does. Like, in Saints Row 3 in particular, and they don't really do it in like a mocking way, there is an achievement you could get for changing your gender like midway through the game. And it's just like, you just go into a thing and you can go through a whole like physical appearance change and go through like, now I look more feminine, blah, blah. Or it's just, you click the button over and it's kind of like male to female, and that's it. Don't have to change anything physical or anything like that. I know, like, and it's just like, it's just there. And then just, and again, just like fairly open romance options as far as like being able to just kind of like, for whoever you want, it's fine. Nobody really cares.
Is Saints Row like GTA?
GTA-esque. It's like, it is, how would I put this? It's GTA with more of like a Fast and Furious vibe. It's like, realism is not really accounted for at all.
Okay.
In Saints Row. Like, GTA kind of tries to like it's in GTA 5 in particular is insane. Like, it's absolutely batshit, and you can do insane shit in the game. But there's certain like lines and limits that you can kind of go to. By the time you get to something like Saints Row 4, which is one of my favorite games, you just get superpowers. Like, and that's...
Oh. Okay.
And it's just sort of like out there and fucking weird, which is part of why people love the game series.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So
I had no reference.
Yeah. Like, the closest proximity would be a GTA title. But it is GTA adjacent, where it's just kind of like, GTA is still kind of focused on like...
Being grounded somewhat in reality.
Where it's like, it's fucking Saints Row 3, one of your first missions, you jump out of an airplane with a parachute. You shoot out the windows to the same airplane because it's coming back for you. You abandon your parachute, go through the front window of the airplane, fly out the back, steal a parachute from another dude, and then jump out the back of the fucking airplane again. Yeah, no, they're not trying to like...
It's so metal.
It's so... No, the games are so much fucking fun.
So metal.
I'm just gonna say, GTA... sorry. Saints Row 3 and 4, I think, are co-op multiplayer games. Just gonna throw that out there. And I've never played 1 or 2, and it didn't matter, so.
Well, okay.
But again, like, intentionally, I don't know how much there was intent there to be like, we're trying to be, like, cool and representative and whatnot, but we're just like, they were just like, fuck it, games never seem to, like, have these options, but so let's just throw them in there. Mm-hmm. Tiny Tina actually has fairly good representation. There's no from what I know right now anywhere, there's not like a set romance option to it, but at the beginning of the game I did get more options for pronoun wise. It was like nice. he him, she, her. I think it gave the full thing of like they, them, he, them, she, them. I think it gave like much more. So like I said, it's getting there, and especially with stuff like Borderlands, which can have a bit more of like a more like masculine, like representative of like an audience, put that in there and kind of like, I think it's good when games don't mind testing their audience a little bit too.
Or just saying, fuck you, we're doing this.
But that's what I mean though, as far as going like, this is the way we're going.
Yeah.
Are you on the train or not? Because we're going.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you get mad about it.
Train's leaving the station.
Train's leaving the station. You can get on, or you can die mad.
Yes! I love it so much.
But yeah, it's getting there. Again, it's all getting there. It's all getting better. And then it just, whenever you see it, it is. But I think you put it the best, where it's kind of like, we need to get to that place where it's like we don't even notice that it's there.
So boring.
That it's just there. It just exists, and that's it. And we're moving on from it. And then it feels weird when people get mad. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like right now, I feel like that's where we're getting to with like female character representation in games, where they're not overly sexualized, or they don't have like a traditional attractiveness like to their character model in the game. Like, not that like they're necessarily ugly, but I mean like in terms of like that. Just to use an example, when they did the Resident Evil 2 remake, people were complaining that Jill Valentine in the game and the remake... Sorry, not the Resident Evil 2, the Resident Evil 3 remake, pardon me. When they did that remake, people were complaining, it's like, oh, well, Jill's just not even that hot anymore. It was just like, 1, she's still attractive. 2, what does her look have to do with the fucking story? Like, what does it have to do with the game?
Yeah.
Shut up, you're being dumb. And I guess they're acting like they made her look like a fucking, like, just like the side of a brick house. Like, it's like, no, she's still attractive. She's just not that, like, old, very fucking male gazy look of a woman. Like, here's what happened. In the original Resident Evil 3 game, Jill runs around in a skirt and a tube top. And in this one, they put her in pants and a tank top.
Interesting.
They just gave her more practical clothes to survive in a zombie fucking apocalypse. It's all that happened, and people got... Oh, I'm sorry. They took her fucking cup size down. And people got so... It was unbelievable to me how mad they got. But that's what I mean, though. It's like, that now seems insane for people to get mad at. Where it's like, really? You're pissed that they made her boob smaller?
The thing you're going to be upset about is this.
Like, this is what you're mad about? Seriously? You understand there's so many bigger problems right now, right? Like, that's where I think we really need to get to with, like, any sort of Alphabet Mafia, like, representation in games. Where it's kind of like, where you look at someone who gets pissed and you're like, why are you mad?
Yeah.
Stop. This doesn't matter. Yeah. Why are you so mad about it? Fucking relax.
Well, we probably won't get there until a lot more people get on the Alphabet Mafia train of like acceptance and all of that.
Yeah.
All of that other work that needs to be done in the world.
Or until we just wait for the rest of the old bigots to fucking die off and stop teaching this bullshit to their kids. Like, that's too. Just like, sorry, if in this day and age, if you're still like blatantly racist and fucking homophobic and sexist, like, we don't need you anymore at this point. We just don't. So if you're younger, there's hope that you could grow up. But like, if you're old and you're still that way, nah, we're done, dude. We're out of here. We're out. Sorry. Well, they're old is not an excuse for me anymore. Because when Elliot Page came out as Elliot Page, one of the first things I saw was Patrick Stewart on Twitter saying, "I'm so proud of you and I'm glad to call you a friend." So, no, that man, like, knew Shakespeare. Shut the fuck up about being old and not being able to change yourself. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen.
That man learned right from the horse's mouth.
He's so good, though. Like, tell me he didn't. Like,
him and Sir Ian McKellen. Like...
Oh, my God. When I found out that they did Waiting for Godot, I was just like, oh, if there was a play I wish I'd go see in New York.
Christ. That would be... Ooh.
Oh, I saw clips from it. It's fucking brilliant. It's so good.
Oh, no, I bet.
But yeah, so just more. Like, it's better. It's so much better, and I'm very happy for it.
But like, we've got a ways to go.
We've still got a ways to go. We've still got such a ways to go. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I'm excited to see what else we're going to be doing as far as, like, games in the future goes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And again, like we both admit, like, maybe at a certain point the representation is much more prevalent than we think. We just haven't seen it because we don't get exposed to it. So, like,
and I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem too.
Absolutely. So, like, if anybody in our community knows of any more games that we haven't talked about,
right,
that are very representative, please send them to us. We'd love to play them and try them out.
Absolutely.
I would do a whole just series of games where all we talk about is how they are Alphabet Mafia friendly. 100% would do that.
Absolutely.
So if anybody's got anything, please, we would love to play them and check them out. So if you got something, just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I mean, like, just talking a little bit since we touched on it, like the fact that you have to go like searching,
that you gotta go digging for it is also
like,
a problem.
That's a problem. Like, it's obviously way better than it has been,
right?
And you do have a lot more representation in AAA titles, but like, more.
Yeah, which is why I do think particularly that I do bring up something like The Last of Us that does have it there, and it's represented pretty fucking well. Mm-hmm. And honestly, well, I say it's represented pretty well. I'm also a man looking at this thing, so if you know, just like keep in mind, I have a certain bias.
Absolutely, we are both cisgendered, white, queers.
As always, we try our best to be aware of our privilege when we talk about this stuff, no matter what.
This is the grain of salt for the episode.
Absolutely, yeah. No, thank you. I'm glad we bring that up because we just like
absolutely.
You know, obviously, and we are as much as we do look into stuff and do some research for this show, but we are also talking out of our asses at some point. So. Take that as you will. But like when you do see it in something like The Last of Us, like that's Naughty Dog, which is a direct associated company with Sony, and it's a AAA title that does really, really fucking well. So it's when you see it with that, like I'm not saying it's more important than when you see it in like an indie title, but it means more because it's very clear that that's reaching a much broader audience.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that is getting to everybody, no matter what. Yeah. And it's getting talked about more, too.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's more indicative of the state of the world.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because indie games are always going to be indie games, and they're going to do whatever their indie game heart wants, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, a AAA title is going to be a lot more concerned with being widely palatable, you know, to an extent. Probably to a pretty great extent, to be honest. So if we're starting to see things change in AAA titles, then that's more indicative of the state of the gaming industry.
Yeah, and to take a move like that, to be like, we know this is gonna turn a lot of people off to our series, unfortunately. Oh well, it is like It does say a lot to be like, at a certain point, we're not concerned about the bottom line. This is important. This is more important.
Stay mad and die.
Stay mad and die. Because that's the thing too.
Can we get that on T-shirt?
Oh, stay mad and die. Oh my god, would love that. That's the first. That would be the first shirt for 3VO. Everything we have said about the show just being positive and heartfelt. Our first shirt's gonna be
Stay mad and die. Fantastic.
I love it so much. Come hang out. Positive vibes. Stay mad and die.
Yeah. No. Positive vibes if you're not a bigot.
You know what? You're right. You do not have to be tolerant of the intolerant. You are correct.
You absolutely do.
You are absolutely fucking correct. Mm-hmm. No, never. Yeah, never mind. Positive vibes for everybody but the intolerant.
Yeah. Get fucked.
Get fucked. We don't want you. I've said it multiple times. We don't fucking want you here.
No, absolutely. That's what the soapbox here is for.
All the time. But yeah, it's just the indie titles are wonderful and they're great, but I think like the ultimate push needs to be like for multiple things as far as like AAA stuff goes and whatnot. It's just like just accessibility across the board for everybody in terms of like the Alphabet Mafia, the disabled gamers community needs a lot more representation.
Absolutely,
it's just all needs to fucking be there. So it's just like that's. My kind of big thing at the end here is just kind of like it's just like, you know, the gruff straight white dude has had his day in the fucking sun so many times as far as like video games goes, and there are titles that fall under that scope that I fucking love. Like I talked about earlier, Doom, the Wolfenstein, the most recent reboot of the Wolfenstein series, I'm a big fucking fan of. There's a lot of it out there that, and it's like, even arguably, even though I mentioned it before as being representative, the first Last of Us game, you are playing a gruff, presumably straight white dude throughout the majority of that game. You don't fully play as Ellie until you get to the DLC or until you get The Last of Us 2, where you actually play as Ellie for like a majority of the game. So it's getting there and it's better, but when it's still predominantly still focused on the gruff, presumably straight white dude who's hitting the helm and fighting the aliens and shit like that, it's like, if that's what everyone's still focusing on, that's all they're going to want to do. So it's like, ultimately it's up to developers and people who make these big games to go like, okay, and here's the crazy thing is that you don't even need to change your whole story. You don't have to change anything except for this one little thing about the character. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's like, you could have Master Chief could be gay and still go kill aliens. Like, it doesn't change anything.
He's just going to be fabulous while he does it.
He's just going to be fabulous while he does it. Well, it's like, it was, to use another, like, out of games examples here, happened in the last year, I think, that it was a thing that happened in comic books where the new Superman, who was not Clark Kent, I think it's Clark Kent's son, has taken on the mantle of Superman now, came out as being bisexual and has a boyfriend, which is just like, I saw photos, it looks very, very fucking cute. And Dean fucking Cain, who played Superman from like the Lois and Clark TV show days. Is that Dean Cain? Yeah, that Dean Cain, that guy. Went on fucking Fox News and went on a whole rant about how it's like, oh, well, just like Superman's got a boyfriend now. I thought, before it was like fighting evil and taking on like just evil superpowers. Like, that's what used to make Superman brave, but apparently now having a boyfriend makes him brave. And I'm just kind of like, having a boyfriend isn't the same thing as kryptonite. Like, you realize that, right? Like, he could still go fight evil aliens and like go toe to toe with Luthor and all that shit. He just has a boyfriend. That's all it is. Like, nothing else has changed about what Superman is.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you could do that shit with any of these characters and it wouldn't change fundamentally what's happening within the story and what's happening in your game.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it's because anybody that belongs to the Alphabet Mafia is viewed by the bigoted, like, masses as less than.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Which is also...
So fuck them.
Which is also distracting us too, because like, I only see that rhetoric on these bullshit talk shows or online from people, and I'm just kind of like, go to a fucking gay bar and say that shit out loud. See what the fuck happens to you. Go to our little spot in Riverside we used to go to all the time. Go to the VIP. Go to the VIP and say some homophobic shit about how gay people are fucking pansies or shit like that. And see what the fuck happens to you. You won't get to die mad. You won't make it out of the bar.
I love it. Go get wrecked at a bar is what we're saying.
I'm just saying, you're talking all this tough shit online and you're saying all this shit on your dumb little fucking conservative ass talk show channels. Go out and test that logic in the real fucking world and tell me if you're right.
Get out of your echo chamber and see how it's.
Yeah, see what the fuck happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to say about representation in video games?
I would implore, not that this is going to get to anybody, but like, I would implore, particularly the indie developers, you guys are there, as far as I'm concerned. You guys are doing as much as you can to have the representation and to get it out there, because I feel like, especially within these indie companies, you do have a lot more area for these voices from the people within the companies to be able to speak up and say, hey, I want to see this, please. And there's more room for people to listen there. Yeah. So as far as that goes, the indie game community, we have no notes. You guys are doing, in my opinion anyway, you guys are doing fucking great, honestly. It's the AAA developers that I'm mainly talking to when I say, like, you guys have the biggest responsibility because you have the wider reach to audiences than anybody else to get to. As far as just like, and just, again, like with anything else, just at a certain point, admit that you're, no matter, even if you're making something as like simple as something like Doom, where it is just fucking big guy goes and kills fucking hell space aliens. Like, even in that, representation should be something you consider, and that is important. And just like, you shouldn't care about what audience you're going to lose. Because at the end of the day, that audience you're going to lose, I don't think you want them, honestly. Like, the money's fine, but I don't think you want those guys at the end of the day. I don't think you want them in your community. Because ultimately, they're toxic. And the moment you do one thing that doesn't agree with, like, their very narrow fucking worldview, they're gone and they're out anyway. So, like, Stop trying to appease these people who are willing to jump ship the moment you do something that they don't fucking like anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So,
and I'll leave the listeners with this thought. If you're one of those guys too, we don't want you in our community either.
Oh yeah, get the fuck out. What are you doing here?
Bye.
At this point, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
What are you still doing here? Why do you think that... No
one's here. No.
I didn't think so.
But if you came across and you haven't already turned off this episode...
Yeah. We don't care. Don't bother writing the comment. We don't care.
No.
We literally do not give a shit about your bigoted fucking opinion.
We do not care.
It does not matter. You are not going to show me anything that's going to change my mind.
We're not here for your awful takes.
Go away.
Bye-bye.
Go away.
Goodbye.
Go away.
Bye-bye now. Goodbye.
But for those of you who are in the community and are lovely and wonderful and cool, we love you guys.
Yeah, you're here with us forever.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're stuck now. You're not going anywhere.
You're going to be with us now forever. Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you really enjoyed this episode, listening to us talk about pride and Alphabet Mafia representation in video games. We want to know, what is your favorite Alphabet Mafia representation or moment in your favorite video game? Let us know.
Also, if you have ideas for future discussions, as always, please send us an email at 3VOpodcastteam@gmail.com. Give us your ideas. You can also find us everywhere with the same name. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are on Twitch. With the same thing, it's a 3VO podcast, although for Twitch it's 3VO Team or 3VO Pod Team.
No, it's still 3VO Podcast.
It's 3VO Podcast? Okay, so never mind. On Twitch it's 3VO Podcast.
Everywhere.
Yeah. 3VO Podcast everywhere. So please, and as always, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, share, leave us a review, talk about us, follow us on everything. And we'll see you guys next time.
You're with us forever now.
Always. You never get to leave.